welcome to another edition of Flea Market Fantasy, the world's second greatest Bronze Age era comic book podcast. Joining me, as always, is new Michael, Kevin Jank.
That's right. There's so many people whose shoes I have to fill these days. Hard to keep track of them.
Yeah, I kind of screwed up the opening there, so we had to redo it. But I got it right eventually. And, Hey, Jank, this is week 3 of Shocktober. And
lightning sound effect.
Yeah, this is how many weeks we're going to have here? Because I never know what date it is when we record. Are we going to have do 5? I think Shocktober.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be a jam-packed Shocktober. We started on the first.
We only do horror books or horror-related books, and to celebrate Shocktober. And this week it was my pick, and I chose Vampire Tales issue 3 from 1973.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of like last year we did Tales of the Zombie. Remember that one?
Yeah. Oh, that was a winner.
That was a winner. And it's so if you remember that one, this is pretty much the same thing, except with vampires. But
no orgies.
Yeah, not a single damn orgy. But we'll get into that here in a minute. But before we begin, let's remind everybody, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Hey, Jank, we're up to 282 subscribers.
Ooh, holy hell.
Yeah, we jumped 10.
All right. That's massive gains.
Yeah. Special thanks go out to a young lady named Leslie Smithers, who has been acting as a Flea Army recruiter.
Oh.
So she was able to get, she has friends. And she was able to get
someone we know has friends.
And so God bless her. And I have noticed an uptick in female subscribers lately, Jack. And this once again proves my theory. Ladies love middle-aged shut-ins who read comic books.
Yep. I'm sure they're all reading your chimp newsletter every week.
Oh, that's right. The author of mailing their newsletter, list.19books.com. And also I got a new book out there called Monkey Flip about a chimp detective. So all kinds of, but 282 subscribers. If we get to 500, Jank is going to make me read all of the Dark Knight issues.
Yep, all 4. We're going to do it all.
And we're spreading that out over a month, not just all in one. All right.
Yep. Portion ourselves.
It's never going to happen.
Really dissect each one. Give it its due.
Yeah. But anyway, so thanks to everybody subscribing. We appreciate the support. Vampire Tales, Jank. This ran for 11 issues from August 1973 to June 1975. It was published by Marvel's parent company, Magazine Management, under the brand name Marvel Monster Group, alongside Dracula Lives, Monsters Unleashed, and Tales of the Zombie.
Hey.
Yeah, we got 2 other ones. 2 other ones we can get to. And it's a black and white magazine format, and it was published bi-monthly. But it's the exact same setup as Tales of the Zombie. Like there's a little photo at the beginning with a table of contents, and it's an anthology, so there's there's a lot of stuff in this issue.
Yeah, there sure were. They jam-packed this full of vampire tales. We're only doing a portion of the ones that they gave us here.
Yeah, we're doing the 2 headliners, basically. But there's about 6 or 7 stories, it seemed, in here. And then there'll be photos of vampires. I don't know what they do with the photos. I remember
it's like the Bigfoot. People just take sightings. I saw a vampire. This is the picture.
But I remember the zombie. Remember they had pictures of zombies, like actual photos. I don't know how they do that. It's magic. But they had photos of zombies.
What a glorious time to be alive it was in the 70s.
So, Vampire Tales featured Morbius the Living Vampire.
Yeah.
And
bold choice for a guy that's not even really a vampire in the classic stuff.
Guess not, yeah. And issue 2 introduced Satana, the Devil's Daughter, in a 4-page story by Roy Thomas and John Romita Sr. And then here in issue 3, she gets she's headlining. She's the first story out of the gate. But she's not on the cover at all. It's Morbius on the cover. And he's the last story in the issue.
Yep.
That's a little weird.
Bookend this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know, maybe you put the thing on the cover you're most, you're most proud of, and that's why you put it at the end, like the WWE.
The main event.
Yep.
Satana is a human-demon hybrid and succubus who feeds upon the psychic energy and souls of human males.
Yeah. He sure does, I guess she does. I don't know, she turns them into like weird bejeweled butterflies or something.
Well,
I don't know.
That's, she always like kisses fellas, and then she like, absorbs all their psychic energy, and they shrivel up into like, dried up corpses, and then she sucks their soul out of them, and the soul is represented as a butterfly.
Yeah. Huh. So I guess I'm reading Rainbow when that butterfly would fly around. That was LeVar Burton consuming people's souls.
Someone had just fallen prey to a succubus.
Yep.
So she's the younger sister of Damon Hellstrom.
Yeah, that's right.
And son of
Didn't
Satan.
they have a TV show for a short amount of time? A very short amount of time?
Yeah, I tried. I watched the first episode of it, and I actually enjoyed it. I thought the way they got into it was pretty good. And she was in it, but they're calling her Anna instead of, I guess they got to Satana maybe eventually. But they were just calling her Anna in what I saw. But yeah, I never went back to watch it though, because I'm just not really a supernatural mystery. Like, I'm more of a punching guy, you know? I like punching.
Yeah.
Like spells and magic and curses.
Crystal man, yeah.
Yeah, I like punching.
Old-fashioned punching.
But we did a Son of Satan issue several years back on the show. Me and Mike L did that one. So Damien Hellstrom, he was back in the old days. He was like a shirtless fella who just had a big pentagram on his chest.
Yep. Kind of a dead giveaway. You're not really staying undercover if you're trying to not have people know who your father is.
So this here is his younger sister, I believe, and I don't know if they're twins or. No, she's the younger sister. She's the younger.
Like they have different eyebrows, so they can't be identical twins.
Yeah, her eyebrows in this issue are wild stuff. But they're the daughter of a guy named Marduk Curios, a demon who often posed as Satan. And
they're not even really the children of Satan. They're knockoffs.
I think when it started, he was Satan, and then they decided, you know what, let's change that up. We don't really want to make them the actual children of Satan.
Yeah.
So this is a demon who just pretended to be Satan, and he was a ruler of one realm of hell.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of realms of hell in the Marvel Universe, that's for sure.
You know another one? Fake radio. That's a realm of hell.
Zing.
And I like to think I'm the ruler of it. So
you were Dr. Blogenstein.
Yes, we got it covered. So Satana, she made her color debut in Marvel Premiere issue 27, December 1975, and she went back to the black and white with Marvel Premiere issue 7 in summer of 1976, and she was actually killed off at the end of Marvel Team Up 81 in May of 1979.
Ooh.
So that's odd, because she's clearly alive still in the work. So you might be asking how that happened. Well, there's a story, I guess she was teaming up with Spider-Man, and there's a story with Doctor Strange, I think, where he was turned into a werewolf by somebody. And she basically sacrificed herself to save Doctor Strange.
Oh, okay.
She died. So she stayed dead until 1994, when Warren Ellis and Leonardo Manco resurrected her for Hellstrom, Prince of Lies, issue 20. But
I think I had an issue or two of that series early on.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. They brought her back in 20, and then the series only lasted one more issue before it got canceled. So Satana.
Kiss of death.
Satana,
not just for mortal men, but yeah.
Satana went back on the shelf for another decade before returning in 2004. And she was one of the main characters of Witches, a 4-issue miniseries that also starred Topaz from Werewolf by Night and Jennifer Kale from Man-Thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do know Jennifer Kale. Can't say I'm familiar with Topaz.
Did you ever hear of Witches?
I don't think so, no.
Apparently it was Marvel trying to cash in on like the popularity of Buffy and, what was that one with, our buddy Holly Marie Combs?
Charmed.
Yes.
Yeah. Careful what you say about it.
Yeah. If you're listening to this, never make fun of Holly Marie Combs or her fans will come after you. We learned the hard way. But anyway, in 2011, Satana became a regular in Thunderbolts with issue 155, and she remained a fixture even after the title transitioned into Dark Avengers with issue 175.
Oh, that's right. Yep, I remember that.
So she's still a popular character, I guess, today. I don't know. And,
I mean, popular is relative.
Yeah, that might be a stretch. She exists. She still exists today.
She's still getting, in stories. That's good enough.
So Satana and her brother Damon were raised to be evil by their father, but Damon rejected his father's teachings while Satana embraced them. So she's a bad girl.
Yeah.
But
if this was the good son, she would be Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, but she had a face turn there when she saved Doctor Strange, I guess. And their mother, Victoria Wingate Hellstrom, went insane when she found out about her husband's true nature.
Oh.
How about that?
Yeah, that'd be quite the shock, I would think.
Yeah.
Hard to get over that one.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about Satana? It sums her up.
I think you hit the main bullet points. I don't have much to add on Satana.
She was bonded with a demon called Basilisk, and he's the one who put the curse on Doctor Strange to turn him into a werewolf. So she rebelled against him, and that's how she ended up dying and everything. But she's really strong,
Yeah.
And can she conjure magic or no? She just conjures up Satan. I don't know really the extent of her powers. I guess she just
I would imagine if
souls.
she's in the series called Witches, she probably has some kind of spell powers.
Yeah, I would imagine so. All right, so that's Satana, and that's the reason why I picked this issue, because of Satana. And that issue, or that story in this issue, is written by Jerry Conway and drawn by a fella named Esteban Maroto. And
oh boy,
I love Esteban Maroto's work. We'll talk about him when we get in later.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how you can look at this and not be blown away by it. You just don't like art, or what's wrong?
It's inconsistent.
What? That is not true. If you're listening to this, that is not true at all. That is not true at all. But so the other feature in this issue is Morbius. I'm guessing you know a lot about Morbius, so get ready to tell all the people about him. His real name is Michael Morbius, and his first appearance was Amazing Spider-Man 101, 1971, created by Roy Thomas and Gil Kane. And he was a famous biochemist who tried to cure his rare blood disease with a combination of experimental chemicals, electroshock therapy, and genetic samples from vampire bats.
Yep. Yeah.
Seems like a bad
scientists in Spider-Man working with animals and injecting themselves with their blood, and it not going well. I think they would learn.
Yeah, this is basically a lizard.
That's got quite the reputation. Yeah.
This is just Kirk Connors, except bats instead of. Anyway. So the combination turned him into Morbius the Living Vampire.
Eek.
He must feast on fresh human blood to keep his blood disease under control. And if he does not get enough fresh blood, he suffers blackouts and becomes violent and dangerous.
So he's basically just a drug addict.
Same thing happens to Jank. Suffering blackouts, and he doesn't get enough Baja Blast or Taco Bell.
That's right.
It's crazy.
It's nasty real quick.
As I mentioned, his first appearance was in Amazing Spider-Man 101, and that was published in August 1971. And it was only possible because the Comics Code Authority updated its policies in February of 1971, allowing comic book stories to depict vampires and certain other supernatural characters. I believe zombies was on that.
Yeah, the same problem, right? Yep.
And issue 101 was also the first issue not written by Stan Lee. Roy Thomas took it for him. So,
and I think he wanted it to just be Dracula, right? But then Stan Lee was like, no. Let's keep it like in the superhero realm. Make it somebody with a costume.
That's exactly right. He wanted a costumed hero or something. So now, Morbius has been in comics ever since then.
Sure.
I guess he's had his own miniseries and whatnot over the years.
Yeah, I think he had his own ongoing series maybe in the 90s as part of the whole Midnight Suns thing. They were really pushing like Ghost Rider and Hellstrom and all these, dark supernatural heroes.
And he also had an Oscar-winning movie.
Yep. Beloved by all.
Did you ever see it?
Nope. No, I refused. I was like, this looks terrible. Everyone says it's terrible. Why should I ever bother watching this?
Yeah, it came out a couple of years back. Was it Jared Leto? Was he?
Yeah, Jared Leto playing the old Michael Morbius there.
Remember it came out and everybody made fun of it for how bad it was, and then it left theaters, and then they brought it back.
Yep. People were like memeing it so much that it's like, oh, clearly the desire's out there now. If we put the movie back in theaters, people will go see it. No one did.
Yeah, so
it bombed twice.
Very questionable decision. But, yeah. So, what about Morbius should we know? Anything?
My first introduction to Morbius was obviously the 90s animated Spider-Man show where he was quite the character, and I want to say season 2 it was all about this neogenic recombinator, and that's how he basically got his powers in that show. It was kind of like using that neogenic recombinator thing and some vampire bats and stuff like that, and that's what turned him into Morbius. But since it was Saturday morning cartoons, they couldn't have him be like, biting people and drinking their blood. So instead they gave him like weird vagina mouths on his hands, like little suckers. What? And he would drain you of your plasma. So he was always just being like, I hunger for plasma. I'm like, I don't know if that sounds better than just having him bite people and draining their blood. That seems weirder.
Same thing, actually. But all right, yeah. So
yeah.
All right.
I'm not sure. Obviously, he has the bloodlust like a vampire, but can he go out in the daytime?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he has that same,
He can eat all the garlic pizza he wants.
Yeah.
Crucifixes don't bother him.
The weaknesses. Yeah.
That's
him and Blade kind of have a lot in common, I guess. A lot of the strengths of the vampire, but not really the weaknesses.
Yeah. So how about I was going to say, Blade's been in this here podcast before.
Yeah, you and Mike L did a Blade, I think.
It was a Dracula issue,
yeah. Yeah.
One of his first appearances, actually, for Blade in that issue, I think.
Yeah. When he looked very different.
Yeah.
One of the few characters who really got helped by having their own movie and, like, giving them a new costume.
All right, so let's look at this cover here, Jank. It's a beautiful cover. While you describe it, I will try and find out who actually did it. I can't. I forgot to write down who.
Yeah, it's very cool. All these magazine comics we've ever done, they always have these cool kind of, I don't know, like colored pencil or very different looking covers, which I really appreciate. We got the little corner box. It's kind of a whole thing going on. There's a big old C for Curtis, and it says February number 3, Vampire Tales, 75 cents. We got a little picture of Michael Morbius kind of reading, I guess, a comic book. This is Marvel Monster Group. Across both pages, it's like a wraparound cover. And then it says Nightmare Legends.
He doesn't look real happy at what he's reading either. He looks
no. He's like, this is what you're having me say? What is this stupid? So then it says Vampire Tales. It's 2 different fonts. The vampire and the tails are different looking. Interesting.
Yeah, the vampire, it's like white letters with a red outline.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like very stylized to look like, I don't know exactly.
Yeah, like spooky, like, classic kind of, some kind of font that would be called Tomb, I would feel like, if you're looking at
very good
the fonts.
And it is a hobby. Jank likes to name fonts.
Yeah.
The Tails is a pretty standard font, maybe called Gary or something like that. And it's black and outlined in white.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, and that says we get the title of this kind of story, I guess, The Night of the Demon Cult, a soul-searing saga of Morbius, the living vampire. And it also says, in this issue, Satana, the Devil's Daughter, in a full-length tale of terror. And the cover itself is it's basically the woods at night, and we got a bunch of guys in kind of cult robes. One of them's carrying a scythe. A couple of the others have like torches, and they're on the lookout for Morbius. But he is hiding behind a tombstone with his hands over the mouth of a blonde lady, and he's kind of like restraining her at the same time so that she doesn't make any noise and give them away.
Yeah, it almost looks like he's kidnapping this lady.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's actually rescuing this lady.
Yeah, and they really don't spend any time in the forest. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Bit of a misnomer.
Well, no, kind of,
I guess it's
like
a very end, maybe.
It's a graveyard, and to get to where, remember, this all takes place in a mausoleum or somewhere he has to go in and like.
Yeah, the sepulcher.
Yeah, so technically they're in a graveyard, but,
yeah.
All right. We got Luis Dominguez, I believe, is the artist of this.
Oh, okay.
I don't know him necessarily, but
I would say I'm a bigger fan of this than I am of the art in the Satana story.
Yeah, see, that's nuts. I don't know what you're talking about. I question your art evaluation abilities. I don't know, but it's a good cover though. I like it.
Yeah, it's very nice. I like it a lot.
And we open it up, get an ad for the other books. Dracula Lives, Crazy, Savage Tales of Conan, Monsters Unleashed, Tales of the Zombie. Now Monsters Unleashed #4. It had to happen. The Frankenstein monster runs amok.
Oh no.
They've done 3 weeks of Frankenstein.
Someone probably stole that furry vest of his.
That would make them mad. And then we get the table of contents page. And again, it's like an old photo of,
Bela Lugosi.
Yeah, there you go, Bela Lugosi in an old Dracula movie. Yeah. And then on the next page, we get a picture of, I don't know, some trees and,
of Los Angeles. Kind of setting the stage for this Satana story.
Yeah. So now we get the Satana story. Now, I didn't like this, beginning against Jerry Conway, but, it's, California is the crazy state. Someone once said there were more kooks, characters, and cultists per square inch in Los Angeles than any other city in the world, ... Then at the bottom, it's except possibly New York.
Yeah.
Why? Why add that? Because,
I guess, the Marvel offices are in New York. You gotta.
I guess, but it just confuses the reader because I'm like, wait, where are we exactly? Are we in LA or are we in New York?
Well, we did have that whole page before this as part of the story. Which says, this is the city, Los Angeles, California.
Yeah, I didn't even read that.
Oh,
I did not even read that. I just flew right past it because it's not a comic book thing,
Yeah.
I just thought it was a picture of some landscaping, and I just kept on going. But yeah, eventually you realize it's in LA, but I mean, there's no reason to add the New York line there. Anyway.
We see everything happens in New York in the Marvel universe, so.
and we see Satana. She's, we should describe what she looks like. She's just a smoking hot lady, but her eyebrows, or what we need to discuss, they're very thin, and they go clean off her head.
Yeah. Luckily, they're not connected in the middle like a unibrow, but on the sides, they just keep on going. There's no
it does nothing to take away from her attractiveness. Still a very lovely lady, but it almost looks like
Mantis almost.
Yes, that's what I was just going to say. Like the antennas that Mantis has.
Yeah.
So we see her on the street, and she's observing a group of people milling about, and she's like, Satan worshippers, my father must be with me tonight. These children will provide ample tinder for the fires of Satana, the devil's daughter. So it's like she's going to go feast on these Satan worshippers.
Yeah, it seems like the wrong crowd to feast on. Like maybe you go after those what's the Westboro Baptist Church guys or something.
Bible thumpers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to tell you that the first few pages of this book, though, it's very pro Satan.
Yeah,
like
true.
It's like Jerry Conway's making a personal statement about his love for Satan. These first few pages.
Well, that's why you mentioned New York has more, because he's one of them.
Because again, now we see another foxy lady with short black hair. She's handing out pamphlets, I guess, trying to recruit people to Satan. And she's like, that's right, mister. Satan isn't the enemy of mankind. He's our redeemer. He's good and kind. He wants us to love him and each other. And then someone, you should be the old guy. You should be,
Witch, vixen, your soul will burn in hell.
There you go. So we turn the page and we see this old, fired up, Bible-loving fella. I guess he's not a priest. He's just a guy, right? I mean,
yeah. I don't know. He's got like a collar that looks very priest-like.
Yeah, it's tough because everything's in black and white, so everyone kind of looks like a priest. But this guy's name is Harry Gotham, Crusader for Righteousness.
He's the Batman of the Marvel Universe.
He's got crazy white hair like Amadeus or something, this guy. He's
yeah.
But he's giving it to the Satanists. He's like, how dare you worship the devil? And but then Jerry Conway, before you start to think like this guy's good and he's fighting, he gives us another little twist that the guy who loves God and Jesus and everything is actually seen like a scam, and because he's got a guy just videotaping all this for apparently business purposes.
Yeah, as all TV creatures are.
So. What does Satana do here? And good Lord, Jenk, look at that picture of Satana, bottom right. That's spectacular.
Is
it? Yeah, it is. I don't understand why you look at that.
I don't know. The proportions are weird. Like,
no,
I don't know. Like, her leg is bent in such a weird ass way.
Like, yeah, because she's standing like that. She's standing seductively, like a succubus would. But so Satana shows up there and she sees this guy yelling at the Satanists, and like a crowd gets fired up and they want to beat up the Satanists.
Yeah.
Screw you, Satanists. But what does Satana do?
She says to them, halt. And they do. They just flat out listen to her and they're like, oh, and they're all entranced and ensorcelled, I guess.
Yeah, she's like, wait, there will be no violence. No harm will come to these people, my people. I am Satana, and I say to you, halt. And she just looks at them, and they look at her, and she charms them, I guess, and they all just start dispersing. They're like, yeah, we don't.
Now look at this crowd. You can't tell me that these are well-drawn people.
No, I can actually. I don't know what you're talking about that they're not.
That's pretty rough work. Like, there's some panels, like close-ups, that he really puts a lot of detail into, but some of these are like just hideous.
But I think the lack of detail in that panel is on purpose, because you get the insert of her face in black, kind of, and you want to have as much white as possible in the rest of the panel, so you don't want a lot of line work in there.
Yeah, I get it, but the line work that is there looks shaky.
Oh my goodness, ridiculous. But we forgot to describe, we mentioned her eyebrows, but would you like to describe what she's wearing? Because it's not a very common outfit for a lady walking down the street.
No, not so much. It's kind of like a black unitard, kind of like the Black Widow, except there's pieces cut out. Like she's got little shark bites on each of her side, and then a big kind of just like, I guess diamond shape, maybe straight down the middle.
Yeah, I don't know if
hard to tell with her hair in the way, but
yeah. It's kind of it's almost like Madeline Pryor as the Demon Queen or Goblin Queen.
Yeah,
was she?
Yeah, except with not with as much under boob and more just
cleavage,
half boob. Yeah.
But as she starts
down at the bottom, she's kind of got like furry boot things, like right above the cutout, like cuffs that go before where her boots would be, and she kind of looks like she has cloven feet.
Yes. I think
maybe that's just the other way. Yeah, the way her boots are drawn, but.
But it looks like she got those boots from our buddies from ElfQuest.
She was at one of those orgies. Yep.
But she's talking to the foxy, short-haired, black-haired lady, and she's like, hey, Satan works in wondrous ways. Sometimes he gives his disciples powers denied other men and women. And this other lady says, my name's Cummins. I'd really like to get to know you.
We had Pornopus last week, and now we got Cummins.
And that's not even like, she's meeting Satana for the first time. Obviously, Satana is an interesting character if you run into her on the street, so I get it. But,
Sure.
But Cummins isn't her real, like, we learn her first name later in the book. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
why would
let's going by Cummins instead?
Yeah, why would a woman go up and say, "Oh, my name's Cummins"? Why wouldn't she say, "My name's Debbie" or whatever? You know? My name's Cummins.
She wants you to know what she's into.
And right away she says, "Do you have any place to stay, or would you?" Like she just runs up to people on the street and says, "Do you have a place to stay?"
Well, I mean, she's got superpowers. I would want to be like, "All right, you got superpowers. You can come stay with me."
But I mean, why are you asking? I don't know. It just seems weird. And Satana, of course, says, "I'd be delighted." And but that Harry Gotham fella, he's like, "Hey, who in the hell do you think you are? Do you realize how much newsreel film costs? Do you think money grows on?" He's like, "Hey, I'm talking to you. I said I'm talking to you," but they just walk away and ignore him. So,
yeah.
Beat it, nerd. Us cool Satanists got to go hang out on our own. And
we're
the next
smoke grass.
And then, that comes into play later, actually.
Well, yeah, in the other story, yeah.
Well, no, in this story.
Oh, did it?
With the roommates? Or no, that is the other story. That's right. Yeah,
yeah, that is the Morbius one. Yeah.
You were correct. I blended my stories. Yeah, that was kind of like a Dragnet episode gone wrong in that at the end there.
Yeah, that sure was.
That's a tease for later. But so on the next page, again, another just gorgeous shot of Satana and the short-haired, black-haired lady, and she's Ruth. Ruth is her name, Ruth Cummins, because now Satana knows it, and she says, "Ruth, you and the others go on ahead. There's something I must attend to." And she's like, "All right, but you're gonna be okay." And she's like, "Yeah, I'll be fine. Don't worry, I'm a succubus." And we get another great shot of her. And she's waiting for a fella to come down the street, a businessman. This is Jank returning home from his accountant job with his briefcase. Do you wear a suit to work, Jank?
No, not at this job.
All right.
It's been a while since I had to do that.
And he's walking down the street, and she just seduces him right there on the street.
Yeah. "Man, come to me. I want you to come to me, to kiss me. Satana calls you, man. Will you answer her call?" He's, "What the hell?"
That'd be my response too. What the hell? Yeah. He's a good man, a gentle
man.
man.
Him bag groceries.
Yeah.
That could be one.
Such skills. Yeah, for those who aren't aware, one time on the LCS hockey show, I told a story about the lady hit on me at the grocery store and I was bagging groceries. And I was too dumb to realize she was hitting on me. And, it was a shame. But then she is walking in. She like leads him into an alley or whatever, and she's like, "Come on, let's go. Let's have some fun." And she kisses him, and boom, she just sucks the soul right out of him.
Yeah, he's just a withered husk now.
What a way to go!
There's this little butterfly.
Yeah, the butterfly is a bold choice to represent the soul, I guess.
Yeah.
But, God damn, yeah, this is amazing. All right, anyway, now we cut over to Harry Gotham. And he's meeting with a shadowy fella, and literally he's in shadows. And I can't remember this guy's name. Darko's Edge. That's his name, Darko's Edge. And we know that's his name because he refers to himself as Darko's Edge.
This is Dr. Edge to you, Gotham.
Yeah. And then Gotham says, "You're here because I promised you 20,000 for that witch. Let's not mince words, Darkos." And then Darkos Edge never minces words, Gotham. That's the way people talk.
Yeah.
So basically Gotham is paying this guy 20 grand to go kill Satana. And the only reason why that he gives is because he thinks she's really evil.
Of all those Satan worshippers,
Yeah.
this one's the one you gotta look out for.
But hey, Harry Gotham, if you're paying someone to murder someone else, that means you're really evil. So what are we doing here? I don't understand. Yeah, we needed a better motive for him to want her gone,
Yeah, it really comes out of nowhere. Like, if that's all it took was her to break up, like, one meeting, like, that he was protesting against, I don't know.
And, like, he didn't even know who she was.
Yeah.
I guess she did say, I am Satana, right? Oh, yeah, she did say that.
He really jumped to murder pretty quick.
Yeah. So now we cut back to Satana. She's with Ruth Cummins in Ruth Cummins' apartment. And Ruth is just lounging around in some lingerie and a little robe, and they're getting comfortable.
She's gonna tell Satana a secret here. She's never told anyone. It says, it's something that happened to me in a dream in which he came to me and touched me. He said, I remember it so clearly. One day you will serve me. Your life will leave you and be yours forever. She's talking about Satan. Like, she met Satan in a dream, I guess.
Yeah, and Satan touched her, and he left behind the mark of the devil on her shoulder. It's like,
cool little devil tattoo.
Yeah, how would you describe that? Like,
it looks like if there was a bull in an Atari game, maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of like a bull's head, I guess, with horns and.
Like one of the Space Invaders aliens had bull horns.
And Satana says, hey, she's thinking this to her. She's like, Ruth, I believe in your dream, for you see, I too have the mark upon me. And she like lowers her little the collar of her dress, and she's got it right on her throat. It looks like.
Yep. Yeah, and hers is a lot more elaborate. Like, it's got like tusks coming out of there, and like full on ram horns.
And she's thinking to herself, though mine is the sign of my daughterhood, a sign I share with my treacherous brother. What meaning can the mark have for this girl? It's a mystery indeed.
It sounds like they're sisters.
And it says, see the son of Satan, issue 1. So then we cut, and this is later at night. Satana is performing some, and again, she looks spectacular, performing some little dance ritual or whatever to try and conjure up Satan or talk to her father. And for some reason, she can't make contact with her father because someone blocked. It seems like we're missing a lot of this.
We definitely are. Yeah, he keeps talking about the four. The four are responsible. They who have driven me from my homeland and keep me from contacting my father. So, I
looked at her appearance in the issue 2 of this Vampire Tales, and it's just a very brief story. And basically, that scene of her getting that guy into the alley, and that's basically what happened in the little intro. Is she or I think a guy was actually preying on her, like he pulled her into an alley to, do bad things, and she sucked the soul out of him.
Yeah.
But, it seems like we are missing a lot of important details about this. But anyway. But she can't talk to Satan, her father, so, she's trying to figure out what she's going to do next or whatever. And then, she hears a noise, and there's 2 fellas coming into the apartment.
Yeah. And for some reason, she still says, Ruth, is that you?
Yeah, but Ruth is like right next to her. Yeah. And it's Darko's Edge, and he's brought a tough guy with him, and this big tough guy's got a stick, and he's gonna just hit him up with a stick.
This is why all the real supervillains are in New York, and we're just left with these dregs over here on the left coast there.
At least Darko's Edge does have a knife, and he tells him, hey, make it look like a ritual killing. And the big goon says, yeah, no problem. I'll enjoy this. She's quite a beautiful victim, don't you think? And Ruth says, Satana, no. And Satana's not worried at all. She's just like,
no, I got flowers.
This is going to be a good time. And but Ruth Cummins jumps in front of her to try and protect her, and that guy just conks her right in the head with that stick. And wow.
Yep. Apparently it's quite the bonk because she's dead.
Yeah. And Satana doesn't know that quite yet. And so she just grabs the guy's wrist and crushes it, and then she like smacks him under the chin and snaps his neck. So she doesn't play around. And then she checks on Ruth, and sure enough, yep, Ruth is dead. Her head got squished, and she's not real happy about it. And she sees
she died saving a friend. She's like, oh, that means she's gonna go to heaven. I can't even like get her soul now.
Yeah, she said she can't get her soul. And then she turns around, she sees that Darko's Edge fella, and she says, "Hey, I'm not done with you yet, there, buddy." And she starts kissing him, and yeah, she sucks out his soul. And then she realizes Harry Gotham's behind this, so now we cut, and she shows up at Harry Gotham's office, and he's like, "Hey, what do you want? I'll give you money. Just leave me alone." And she's like, "No, Harry Gotham, I want you." And then we see her. Like we see his office door, and we hear a scream and a thud. The door opens, and we see her holding another butterfly soul, and she crushes it and just leaves it on the floor and walks away. So,
yeah.
I will say, Jank, you are right. This last page does get looser. Yeah. It's like very quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there it is, Satana. What do you think of that, Jank? Are you intrigued by the Satana character?
I mean, the character has potential. I wouldn't say that this story really was that intriguing.
No.
I felt like they were trying to get a lot done in a short amount of page space, and they didn't really succeed. They kind of rushed through this whole storyline, and I don't know, it was not very satisfying, I would say.
Yeah, Jerry Conway, again, the more I read, it's just the less I like Jerry Conway.
Yeah, don't you hate that?
The writing here is not very good. But I love Esteban Marcos. Or not, that's not his name at all. Esteban Maroto. Esteban Maroto is his name, right? Yeah. Let me give you some info, because we've talked about him before, actually, and I'd forgotten we had talked about him. But he was born in 1942 in Madrid, Spain. He's the guy who designed the metal bikini for Red Sonja.
Oh, okay.
So when we did the Red Sonja issue, I know I would have mentioned him then.
Sure.
And that was in Savage Tales issue 3. And then he penciled her first solo story as well. And he redesigned Satana for this issue. Because the original Satana design didn't have the big eyebrows or wasn't quite as sexy, you know. But and Marato's work Marato's work frequently appeared in the horror magazines Creepy, Eerie, and Vampirella. He did 101 stories for those 3 books. And he also worked on the series Amethyst, Zatanna, Atlantis Chronicles, The Savage Sword of Conan, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, Dracula, Vlad the Impaler, and X-Men Unlimited.
Ooh. Oh, I wonder what X-Men Unlimited he did. I had all of those.
Oh, well. You got some work to do. Go through and find them. But,
probably towards the later end of the run when they stopped caring and the stories were not as good anymore. No, it's not on him. That's the writing.
But, I love his work here. This is spectacular. Some of my favorite art I've seen on the 5 years of doing this show. Jank doesn't like it. But
I'm not going to say I don't like it. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's also not, it's not jumping in my top 10 artists anytime soon.
It would be, I'm trying to think of, I always praise Kerry Gamble and Indiana Jones. I'm trying to think of other, Bill Sienkiewicz in that Electro Assassin issue 1. That was spectacular.
Yeah.
But
that's also a thing where it's very shaky looking, but it's so cool looking that you can't help but deny how cool it is. Like, it's very stylistic, but it works. This just kind of, in a lot of places, felt, sloppy to me.
I will give you that last page. That definitely seemed like he was rushing to meet the deadline. Like the last page and a half, maybe. But no, the early stuff was Satanists. Just gorgeous. Who's Alex Toth did a good Black Canary little story. That was really good. But those are the names that immediately come to mind when I think of best art.
Okay.
Do you think anyone else come to mind for you?
I mean, most of my favorite artists are like from the 90s.
Yeah. So. That's the problem. That Steve Lailiola, that Coyote, that was interesting.
Oh, yeah.
The way it was colored.
The coloring was great, yeah.
But, all right, so those are a few. All right, let's get to Morbius.
Morbin time.
The blood cult.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this about the Morbius. Was he always that ugly?
I don't believe he had the bat-like nose before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he does kind of like. Oh, what we should also mention as we flip through here, there's a couple pinups of Satana, and then there's a little 3-page thing about like everything you wanted to know about Satana, but were afraid to ask or something like that. And they just.
Oh yeah. I did see that.
I guess you didn't read it though.
No, I did not.
Yeah, I just flipped through it. It was just telling the how they were wanting to bring her back, and then it was basically just putting you in the Marvel bullpen when the day that Esteban Marato's work showed up, and how everyone was so excited, Jank, to see it. And no, I'm not joking either. This is legitimately what it's about. And they all swooned over it, and they were all like fighting over each other who got to write it. And Jerry Conway said, "I'm going to write it."
Oh, they chose poorly.
Yes, yes, they did.
I do like that little pinup he did, Esteban Maroto did of Satana here with the goat horns and the crazy outfit, like Dazzler-esque outfit.
His women are just spectacularly drawn.
Yeah, I mean, this is good when he's putting the time in. But some of those other ones where she didn't even have eyeballs, it's like, I don't know. I'm not going to say that's my favorite thing ever.
Ridiculous. All right, so now we get to Morbius, and what's this story called exactly?
Is it Night of the Demon Cult? Like it was on the thing?
Yeah, I'm trying to flip through my issues having to reload. So these issues are long.
It's like,
yeah, Morbius. It starts on page 59. That gives you some idea of how big this is. And this story is written by Don.
It says Demon Fire on like a gravestone there.
That's I guess what it is. But this is written by Don McGregor, who I actually like a whole lot, and he did the Jungle Action Black Panther stuff.
Oh, okay.
That was great. And when I think of some of the best things I've ever read in terms of writing in the 5 years, Don McGregor's on that short list for that Black Panther. Oh. So, because that was also the issue that gave us King Cadaver, the little logo.
Yeah, that's right.
Flea Market Fantasy. And the art here is by Rich Buckler. He's been on the show many times. Classic old school comic artist. And the finish is by Klaus Janson. So.
Yeah. Old Klaus.
Yeah, everyone likes him. So, all right, we see Morbius. This first issue, or this first page, it's like a big splash page, but it's got like the tombstone with a cross and a circle in the middle of the cross, and then we got panels on the tombstone, like the same shape of that tombstone.
It is very cool. This is a very cool looking splash page.
They do something similar again at the end of the issue, which we'll talk about when we get there. But so what's going on here in these sequences of panels?
Morbius is basically he's hungry. And there's a caretaker in this cemetery, and he's stopping to have himself a little midnight snack here on this caretaker. And it's just a lot of narration about like, oh yeah, you feel like a bad person, but you're doing it anyway. You gotta keep your bloodlust at bay, blah blah blah.
Yeah, this is second person narration again. Like didn't we just have this last week with?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Frankenstein, yeah.
Phantom Stranger and Spawn of Frankenstein, yeah. Yeah, so Morbius, he didn't come to the cemetery to eat this guy, but while he's here, he's like, I'm just going to eat this guy.
Yeah. So, no one will miss him.
He's actually coming here to save that lady on the cover, whose name I can't remember.
Amanda something. I remember that.
Yeah. Cummins. Amanda Cummins. and
so, hugging kiss.
So he goes into this mausoleum, and he rips the door open. And he goes inside, and there's all these coffins, but there's one coffin on the floor that's open, and it's a secret entrance because there's staircases or a staircase, and he goes down there, and that blonde lady he's trying to save, Amanda Cummins, she's like tied down to a slab, and she's about to be sacrificed by a bunch of dudes in hoods with torches.
Bunch of KKK members. It looks
It looks like yeah.
Black and white. Yeah.
And but while he's walking in there, a guy arrives outside of the cemetery.
Yeah, I guess he was late to sacrifice.
Yeah. And he's got a ski mask on, so we can't see who it is. But he's walking in the mausoleum the same as Morbius did. And then Morbius, he sees there's a guy named Catabolic. Catabolic.
Yeah.
Hey.
Love these names that roll right off the tongue.
And he's got like a big scar over one eye. He looks like Mr. Clean, but or the Toxic Avenger, one of the two, just mixed together.
Yeah, a little bit.
So what's going on down here in this here mausoleum, Jank?
I guess the leader of this cult is some woman named Poison Lark, which is a pretty stupid name, but she's like, now, Amanda, now it begins. What? And Amanda's just like, what did you do to my sister Catherine? And she's like, oh, yeah, she's gone. Catherine's but a memory. Now there's only Poison Lark. So I guess this Poison Lark is taking over her sister's body.
Yeah, it's just her sister, but being possessed by whatever.
Yeah.
Or maybe her sister's just a real jerk. I don't know.
Maybe. Maybe she's just in the cult.
And her sister, Poison Lark there, she's dancing around in like a pentagram with candles, and she's got a knife. Yeah. And she shows Amanda a picture of her boyfriend, Justin.
And yep. Sweet, silly Justin, as she calls him.
And I like, it's a framed photo of Justin that they took from her apartment. It's a very small framed photo of Justin. But it says, with love, Justin, to Amanda.
Yeah.
Because with my girlfriends and exes, I always used to give them framed photos of me with my autograph.
Yep. Till they got too expensive, yeah. Those photographs are tough to hand out.
So now we see the
I did like that they went to her apartment just to get this picture, though, just to taunt her with it. They're like, here, this is your boyfriend. This is stupid. We're going to rip it up.
And we see the guy with the ski mask. Oh, he also has a big stick. That was
yeah.
That was the prevailing weapon in 1973, a big stick. Just
that should be issue number 4 of Vampire Tales, just big stick stories.
He's walking down the stairs behind Morbius, and he's about to conk him on the head with the big stick, but Morbius sees him, and they start fighting. And Morbius just like judo.
Theoretically, if you saw a vampire, wouldn't you try to use the pointy end of that big stick and stab him in the heart rather than bash him over the head?
Yeah.
Even though he's not a real vampire, but still.
That is a good point. But Morbius just like judo flips him and spikes his head into the floor of the mausoleum, so he's dead. But no, he comes back later. And then Morbius starts fighting that catabolic guy.
Catabolic.
Yeah. And this guy's pretty strong. And he's got a big stick, too. Everyone's got a big stick.
Yep. Maybe get some axes or swords or something.
Maybe a gun. I don't know. I would rather have a gun than a big stick. These guys have big sticks. And he starts to crush out Morbius's throat there. And Morbius just bites his arm, though, his forearm.
Yep. Starts getting a little blood out of his arm there.
So Catabolic starts screaming. And
but I guess Catabolic's like a mute, I think they kind of mentioned.
Yeah. He's screaming silently.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a very good point, Jank.
Yeah.
And Poison Lark is telling her like buddies to, beat up Morbius or whatever, because I guess they're all aware of each other. But,
get to the armory. Everyone grab a big stick.
And she's like, so Amanda's mysterious would-be savior strikes again. Your impassioned attempts to save Amanda's innocence are touching indeed. So he's just not letting anyone sleep with Amanda, or what's happening? Why is he protecting her innocence?
He's a vampire chastity belt, basically.
But she's like, fight on then, Mr. Morbius. The coven will never allow you to stop the sacrifice. And listen unto my words, O behemoth Arcane. Arachne, I'm sorry, Arachne. Gaze down.
I feel like with all her Mr. Morbius talk, she's talking down to him because he's a doctor. You put some respect on this man's name.
Yeah, I mean, he's a doctor who experiments with vampire bats, so probably have his license revoked at some point anyway.
Yeah, probably.
But she's like preaching to this behemoth Arachne, and she's like, gaze down from your silken web upon the offering we bestow upon you. And you look up and there's a giant spider.
Yeah.
In the web.
He's like, finally, don't have to deal with Spider-Man. Oh, damn it.
So there's more fighting going on down there. A bunch of guys jump on Morbius. They're trying to punch him. And then Poison Lark like cuts the restraints off of what's-her-face. Because really, why was she strapped to that thing to begin with? Because then they just cut her off. And because they want the spider to web her and suck her up. And apparently the spider has like a tube. I'm going to call it a tube.
Sure, it's probably the best way to put it.
There are some other words you could use to describe it.
Yeah.
Perhaps the tube is representing something else. I'm not going to know. I don't know. I'll have to ask our friend Freud about that. But the idea here is the spider's going to suck her up into that. And then that tube is going to suck the blood out of her.
Yeah.
And so that's the plan here. And now we cut over to the roommates. These are
first we get a big reveal because Justin is apparently one of the cult members. He pulls off his mask and he's like, "Ha, look, it's me, sweet silly Justin. I'm gonna sacrifice you." And she's like, "No, not you, Justin. Justin, you couldn't do this to me." "I just have, darling. I just have."
Yeah, he was the guy that showed up late with the ski mask on, who got spiked into the floor of the mausoleum. So he shook that off pretty quick. But yeah, it's her boyfriend. So I guess he was just seducing her to get her to be a sacrifice for the cult, but he was really just into the sister the whole time, I think.
Yep.
So there you go. All right, so now we cut over
back to Justin's apartment.
Yeah, his roommates
left a whole mess.
Why don't you take us through this?
Oh man, I don't even know what happened here, but like the roommates are all up in an uproar. I think they called some guy over saying that they were going to give him drugs, but then he showed up and there were no drugs, so he is not happy. He's like, "God damn it! You told me there was going to be drugs, and I'm going to put the word out on you guys." And he's like, "What does that mean? Is he going to call the cops?" I'm like, "I don't know. Justin like really fucked us over here."
Well, they don't say call the cops. They say, "Do you don't think Freddie will call the man down on us, do you?" So Becky Lynch is going to come beat the hell out of him.
Yeah.
And but yeah, they're worried the cops are coming. And now we cut back to the mausoleum, and we see Amanda getting sucked up by the spider. And Morbius says, "I got to save her." So he beats up all the guys he's fighting, and he just jumps up there. And he jumps in front of the spider's tube.
Yep. Takes her right in the belly. Much like how, Tommy Wiseau makes love in the room. Right in the belly button.
And how does, or what happens to the spider then, Jack?
Well, it starts to, absorb some of Morbius's blood or whatever. And it's like, oh God, this is poison. He's a weird vampire dude. And it basically starts killing him. So the spider tries to detach its tube and just crawls away and dies.
Yep. Poor spider. Just trying to suck up some blood with his tube. And he got killed for it.
Don't let your tube lead you. Think with your brain.
So because the spider died, the whole mausoleum is starting to crumble and shake. And Morbius grabs Amanda and he jumps down and they're running out of the mausoleum. And she's like, "What about everybody else?" And Morbius is like, "Screw them. We're not worrying about them."
They were trying to sacrifice you. I don't think we care about them anymore.
So he jumps out of the coffin entrance and he runs out of the mausoleum. And they don't even notice that Justin, sweet, silly Justin, also escapes.
Yeah.
Then the mausoleum collapses, and Morbius is careful not to let her see the dead guard on the ground that he murdered before he went into the mausoleum.
Yeah.
He said, "Don't look over there."
Not that she's gonna know, like, oh, that looks like your handiwork. Like, like what are you trying to protect?
Really, man, I'm a good guy, but just don't look over there.
Yeah.
So,
Don't see the mark on his neck.
and she's like, and Justin, like it was something out of Rosemary's Baby, when it was supposed to be Romeo and Juliet. Aw, poor Amanda.
Unlucky in love.
And he's like, try not to let it haunt your mind, Amanda. I know much of hauntings of the mind, and you do not owe yourself such punishment. Think of this as a little more than a mystery, or else think of this as a little more than a fantasy nightmare trying to destroy innocence. And you must believe me, reality does that much more often. Much more often. I had my innocence destroyed by reality as well.
Yep, that's true.
All right, so now we get an epilogue, and kind of like the first panel with the tombstone thing. Now we get, it's an all black page with a giant white silhouette of Morbius in the background, and then we get a bunch of little panels playing out.
Yeah, slightly less effective because it really doesn't. Those were arranged in like the same shape as the tombstone, where this is just kind of random. Like it's just kind of a background, and the panels are just not in any particular order.
But why don't you tell us what happens here?
So we're cutting back to sweet, silly Justin's apartment, and one guy's like, I got to make myself scarce. Oh, here's Justin. He's showing up back at the apartment. He's like, I got to make myself scarce from these parts before Amanda blows the whistle. I'll just join up with one of the other demon fire cults. That's what I'll do. And then his roommate comes in. It's a bust. The man's all over the place, and it's your fault, Justin. And the cops come in with their big sticks, and they're like, all right, boy, make it easy on yourself. And the roommate's like hell. And then the cop just gets pissed off and whacks sweet, silly Justin in the face. Wait a second, I got nothing to do with it. Whack right in the face. And one cop's like, Lord Clancy, he's like, I was aiming for the tough guy, and somehow this guy, sweet, silly Justin, got in the way.
Yeah. And then we get the repeat of the earlier narration. But there are times, though, they may seem rare indeed when reality also destroys corruption, although at times quite unwittingly. So Justin got what was coming to him, and what was coming to him was having his face exploded by a police nightstick. Because he got crushed.
He sure did.
Yeah. So,
at least he got, I guess, his just desserts. Just that's something.
So there you go. Morbius, how do you feel about that one?
Again, I wouldn't say it was great. Not the best story. I did like that the spider, basically died because it couldn't feed off of Morbius, that poisoned it. That's good. That's clever. But for the most part, I don't know. They could have used more orgies in this cult. Weird Papa Legba or whatever that guy's name was. Didn't have legs and just had magic Lieutenant Dan legs or something.
Yeah, I can't remember that guy's name. This
cult could have gone crazier. Papa Shorty? Was that it?
Papa Shorty, that is what it was. Yep.
Yeah.
Good on you. Yeah, so I like the actual nuts and bolts writing of McGregor here, way better than Conway. But yeah, there's not much here.
There's a lot of cliche stuff at the beginning, just about Morbius, oh, you're a scientific vampire, and you must keep your blood lust at bay and stuff like that. All right. Yeah. I don't need that in every story.
Well, you got to realize though, this is early Morbius, so
yeah, that's fair.
It was still fresh here and that stuff. But
you've seen it 20 times by this point.
Yeah, this isn't the best Rich Buckler art either. It's okay.
No, yeah, it's solid enough. The spider looked cool, I guess.
How do you feel about Morbius as a character in general? Are you a fan of the Living Vampire?
Do I think he deserved his own movie? No. But as a supporting character, sure, I think he's interesting enough. It's cool that he's got this curse, but he's trying to do good with it, and just tries to prey on the criminals more so than at least in this time.
Or people who watch after graveyards at night. They're a free game as well.
Yeah. At this point, he hasn't quite learned that lesson yet. That hey, maybe I could, go after the people that deserve it. So I like that aspect. I like the kind of villain to hero arc he's kind of been on.
Yeah, the whole internal conflict. Yeah. I think his first appearance in that Spider-Man, I think that was when Spider-Man had like 8 arms. Remember that?
Yeah, the 6 arms. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 6 arms.
And then 2 legs.
Wasn't an octopus. So all right, that's Morbius. I like the Satana story better just because of the art.
Okay.
But
story-wise was probably a little bit better.
Yes. Story-wise, this was definitely better than the Satana one. But so I don't know. They're both. Again, I just swooned over the art, so I'd read that issue 7 times in a row just to look at
Holy
hell. But the more I don't know, 7 out of 10. Or what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'd probably give this generously. I'll give it a 5.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't think I would ever read either of these stories again. No, no, wasn't a whole lot to hang your head on this one.
All right, there you go. So that's Vampire Tales. Again, check it out for the art. Don't listen to Jank. It's a big jerk.
It's kind of weird that they both had storylines with cults too.
Yeah. Why don't we join a cult?
I don't know. I think we're missing out.
Well, you got your cousins. You have that cult that you guys are in.
Oh, sure.
I forgot about that. But, all right, Jank. So next week 4 of Shocktober, what do you got for us?
Okay, I had a lot of potential options, one of which at one point was an issue of Giant-Sized Werewolf, where he fights Morbius, but I was like, oh, if we're doing Morbius this week, there's no need to do that again. So instead, I am going to stick with the werewolf theme, and we're going to do, there was, in 1983, there was a Judge Dredd storyline that features werewolves.
You love Judge Dredd.
I do. I really enjoyed that when we did it before, so I'm going to go back there. It was printed over the course of I guess 7 issues of the weird little flip book magazine, whatever they were doing at that point. So it's kind of collected in this trade paperback called Judge Dredd Cry of the Werewolf. And, so I figure it's basically each part, it's 7 parts. Each part's about 6 issues. So it's about 2 comic book issues worth of actual story. So I figure we'll do the second half. We'll do parts 4 through 7 of this story.
Okay. All right.
And, do the more exciting half. Cause it looks like it starts off, it's part 4 starts with people in Mega City 1 have been infected with werewolfism and they've been captured and put in the judge's basement. So I'm like, all right, cool. This is a good place to jump on board. That's all I need to know.
Good place to jump on board. All right, so next week, Judge Dredd, Cry of the Werewolf from 1983.
Yeah.
And that'll be something. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We appreciate the support. And until next time, don't get any jank on you.